In this video, we're going to go over how to request inventory using vTracker in ConnectSx. So first, we're going to go to our navigation by clicking on the hamburger icon in the upper left corner. Then we'll go to Movements, and we'll select Requests. Here you can view all of the requests that have been created, the ones that have been fulfilled or partially fulfilled. But today, we're going to just click on the plus button in the lower right corner to create a new one. So if we're a sales user, our user account is already entered here. If we're a distributor or an admin, you have the option of selecting a different user than yourself to request inventory on someone's behalf. But select the user that you are requesting inventory for. Then select the manufacturer. If you have a request recipe, you can select that here. A request recipe is similar to essentially just like a template for the request that you're making. So inventory that you request quite frequently in the same configuration, you could make that into a recipe so that when it's time to make that inventory request, you just select the recipe and you don't have to do the work of selecting each individual device and their quantities. But once everything looks good, hit next. And here, very similar to the transfer screen and the recording inventory is used screen, we can filter our inventory. So right now we're looking at complete sets or complete products. So if I select one, that will add it to the selected tab. I can also say, do I want implants only or instruments only? So we are conceiving of a set or a product kind of like a container or a set of containers. So if your spine product typically has numerous containers or trays associated with it, we're thinking here that we're selecting all implants that we'll need for that product. If you want to select loose devices, you can change that filter, select a product line, and then select from the loose devices that are added to that product line. All right, so I requested now a complete set and a few other items. And if we click over to the selected tab, you can see here what we have selected. You can also modify the quantities using the plus or minus buttons. You can also remove an item from your selection. So once this looks good, hit next. You'll be able to do a final review on what you've selected and the quantities and make any adjustments. If you want to associate this request with an event, that means that it will be linked to that event, which will also be linked to the resulting transfer. It's a nice way to create data linkages between the different inventory movements and the cases that they relate to. So you can select from this drop-down list here of the available events, or you can add a new one right here by clicking this. That will initiate the create event workflow like we went through in the first video in this series. I'll also just note that you also can create a request directly in the event screen when you're creating a case, which will automatically associate it and link it to that case. So I'll just, for the sake of argument, select the case that we've been doing in this video series. Then select a need by date for when you're hoping the inventory will arrive. You can also check if that'll need to be a Saturday delivery. And then select the ship to address where you want this inventory to be shipped to. So I'm going to go ahead and select my shipping address, but you could enter the facility address or enter a manual address. And then add any notes that you might want to add additional context to the case. These can be anything. And then we'll hit create, and this will generate our inventory request. It'll notify the manufacturer that we have requested inventory, and then it'll create the space for them to go in and fulfill the request, which will result in a transfer of that inventory back to us. All right, so here's our completed request. We can review all its details. If needed, we could even cancel it. The tracking info for the shipment could be added here. They can also be added in the resulting transfer. So like I mentioned earlier, what will happen after I submit this inventory request is the manufacturer will review it and they'll send the necessary inventory to me via a transfer. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we view those transfers. So I'll click on the navigation and go to my transfer screen. Here we can see all the transfers and their associated statuses. And I'll just go find a pending one for you here. Any new transfer from a manufacturer will show up with a pending status, and you'll want to go into it and review all of its details, review the inventory that's being transferred to you, like that. And if that looks good, if that's actually what came in the shipment, you can hit accept, which will complete the transfer of that inventory into your custody. If it doesn't look good and this isn't right, we can hit decline, which is the little garbage can icon here. That will kick this transfer back to the manufacturer to review and confirm, so that they can create a new transfer, sending you the inventory that is correct. Okay, so that is how you can request inventory and then accept the resulting transfer once the manufacturer sends the inventory back to you. In the next video, you'll want to tune in also because we'll be showing you how you can do your own inventory transfers to send inventory back to the manufacturer.